Johnson, he's doing the Facebook Live. McCoy Insurance provided the water for the candidates and the board. And then we got ARC here doing the broadcasting as well. I want to thank all the community for submitting your questions. Thank all the candidates for participating in this. And just got to remember that after all this is over, we're still going to be friends, neighbors, and citizens of the county. And I think that's the one thing for me when we started doing that. That made me, I guess, the most nervous, the most anxious. Is that politics is very important. It's important that we know which side everybody's on these different things. But most importantly, we just need to know that we're all neighbors after this. And now I'd like to invite Jeff to come up and say a prayer for us, if you would, please.
Let's pray. Lord, as we are reminded, Lord, we are friends and neighbors and family. And Lord, we just pray, Lord, that we remember that when this is all over. Lord, that we love one another. Lord, that we show your compassion and Lord, we walk in your path. Lord, your word teaches us in Daniel, Lord, that you are still in control. That you set kings up and you bring kings down. But Lord, when we pray for wisdom and knowledge, you will impart those things. And Lord, it's in these times, Lord, that we pray for that. That we pray for wisdom and knowledge. And Lord, that you appoint people to the positions that you'd have them to serve that they've been called to. Lord, that you use us as your people. Lord, that you touch our county. Lord, that your anointing be upon it, Lord, not only here in the county, but in the state and across the nation. God, that we humble ourselves and kneel before you. Lord, that we pour our hearts out to you, that we become a nation that turns to you again. And oh God, I just pray your blessing upon this event tonight. Lord, I pray for the truth, and Lord, I pray, Lord, that you lead us in that way. And Lord, just help each of these candidates. And Lord, just bless each one that is desiring to give of their time to serve our county. And again, Lord, we just ask your hand upon this night. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Again, thank you, Jeff. And now we'll turn it over to Angie.
Can y'all hear me good? In the back, can you hear me? Okay. So real quick, I want to tell you how this is going to go. All these questions came in from the community. They're not from the chamber or the chamber board or myself. It's all from the community. We tried to leave enough time for the public to submit questions. I probably left too much time because I ended up with 8 pages and it took a while to get them all organized. But I feel like we have a really good group of questions to ask to make sure you guys are qualified for the job. So we're going to get started. You have 2 minutes technically, but like I told you guys in the email, if you don't need the whole 2 minutes because we're really pressed for time, well, just say what you got to say. Okay, we're going to get started with the clerk of court. The first question is going to be for Diane and Katie, and we'll start with Diane. The question is, if you've never worked in the court system or in this particular office, how do you feel equipped to oversee the office and staff that you're not directly familiar with? So what your skills, educational background would be. Is it on? Oh, the table mic. Hit the button. We'll blame that on Kevin, because he told me we had microphones. Don't tell him I said that.
That'd be good, we'll blame it on him. I feel like my past experience in customer service, because that is a great asset to the clerk's office. You deal with the public. Of course, you deal with your clients. And so it will be a learning experience for me, which I would like to go in and assess the office, see the technology, and of course I want training to be more equipped, and I want training for my staff as well. So it will be up to date.
and to all the citizens who sent in their questions to participate in this event. But the question was, what did I feel like my qualifications or my background would be since I have not served in the clerk's office. I'm a practicing attorney, and I have been for 10 years. I work at the late Senator Ben Chapin's office. Before I started working for Ben, I was a judicial law clerk for the circuit court judges in Caswell and in Russell County here for Judge Moore. In that position, I worked closely in the clerk's office, making sure the judge had all the files that he needed, making sure that all the orders got back so they could be properly reported. And in my practice, I have represented the Board of Supervisors, the Department of Social Services. I have worked on criminal cases, civil cases, juvenile and domestic relations appeals, appeals from General District Court, and all of that got filed in the clerk's office, in the circuit court clerk's office. I prepared orders, and I believe my knowledge in that process would equip me well to serve as the clerk. Also, by practicing law, I've been sort of on the outside, and I've worked with that office, and so I have a unique perspective on how things could work in there, and things that I think are beneficial to attorneys. I have that perspective. I think our current clerk, Ann McReynolds, has done a fantastic job. She's worked on getting paperless files and started that process, and I would like to continue that and to really look into e-filing. This is a different world that we live in, practice with law and recording deeds. Everything goes a lot faster, so anything that I can do to work on improving efficiency and accessibility, those are really my goals.
Thank you. Okay, you kind of started on the next question, so we'll continue with you since you're on the roll. How would you improve the existing system and make things more user-friendly, and would there be more online options and upgrading technology?
That is definitely something I'm going to look into. There are different options. The Supreme Court of Virginia does have a free system for online filing. I have talked to other clerks in other localities. I don't know that that system is the most user-friendly. Some other localities have used different vendors, but that is definitely going to be one of my top priorities. Just as an attorney, when I'm out representing the citizens of Russell County or other counties, I may be in court all day. I may be in court until the time that the clerk's office closes. So if there is a way to online file my pleadings that I can still file it that same day, that would in turn benefit the citizens of this county. It makes practicing law and transacting their business more efficient. So I do think online, looking into that and online options. I do also want to look into, and I know other clerk's offices are doing this, for online filing, the online filing of petitions to renew your concealed weapons permit. I think that's something that a lot of citizens in Russell County have, and if I can make it easier that if you choose or do not have time due to work constraints to actually physically come to the office, that you have that option to file online. I do think, we live in a world that's, everything's fast, and most of us are employed if we're not retired or serving in some other capacity. And so I do want to also look into a program to keep the clerk's office open 1 to 2 nights a week till 7 p.m. for appointment only to come in and transact business. I would also work with the employees. I wouldn't expect an additional burden out of them if they stayed to work with me if that was needed. Then I would allow them to adjust off, either come in late or leave early on a Friday or build up an additional vacation day. But I do think we can always be looking for solutions just to help accessibility and access to the community.
Thank you. Jennifer?
Okay, we currently do have e-filing in our office. You can record deeds online, file pleadings. That might be something that we look into other systems that people are more familiar with. I would like to continue moving forward with technology. There's modernize a few things, but all in all, I think our office runs pretty smooth. We could, just keep moving forward with technology, and I would be open to any suggestions the public had for changes, if there were any. Anybody want to suggest?
Thank you. Diane?
Like those other candidates said, technology is ever changing. And so day to day, you're going to need to upgrade. and I would be for that, plus training. Any available training for the staff and myself in the area, I would be want to do that. Plus, a lot of citizens come in, and if they have to look things up on the computer, I want to have staff available to go help them or check on them to make sure that they can, because like my mom, she would have no clue how to work a computer. And I want to make sure that the staff is there and friendly and goes back and helps him maybe on a computer or to find a deed. I want to stress that because people in our county, we're country folk. We want somebody there that's going to help us. And as soon as I started in the bank in 1983, that was one of the things First Bank and Trust taught me was customer service. And I still am like that today. I don't like the automated, I like customer service. I like to treat that customer no matter who they are, whether it's the president or just Uncle Joe down the road. I want to treat them all the same and give them help when they come in there to make sure that they get what they need.
Thank you. Okay, the next question is going to be about the scheduling. Would your office work 5 days per week, or would you continue with the current schedule of a day off per week for the employees? And we'll start with Jennifer.
We don't get a day off per week. It'd be nice, but the courthouse hours are 8:30 to 4:30. I would be open to try to help anybody anytime after hours. As everybody knows, we have courthouse security now. They make sure everybody's out of that courthouse at 4:30. So, I mean, my phone number, I would be glad to put my personal phone number on the clerk's website and be available to the public at any time and do anything I could to help you. But the clerk's office would be limited as far as the courthouse security and things beyond our control. The Supreme Court system shuts down at a certain time after we close, so, I mean, before hours would be limited, but I would be glad to do anything I could to help the public.
Diane?
I probably would normally just work the regular hours, till 8:30 to 4:30. Unless, I mean, I'll try to go out of my way if somebody needed something to email them or, give them something printed and take to them or mail to them or whatever, but I would probably try to stick to those hours.
Katie?
I think I've answered it a little
Yeah.
bit, but I will reiterate what Jennifer said. There is not a day off for the clerk's office right now. The hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. Like I said, I would look into doing that once or twice a month, depending on the demand. And obviously, I would have to work with the sheriff's office to make sure that they had an adequate staff to help me with that once a month, to make sure that we could do that. And it would not be open to just anybody that wanted to walk in because of those security reasons. I would need to have some kind of schedule to make sure that I had enough staff. If there was just one or two people that wanted to take advantage of it, well, I wouldn't need any staff, it would just be me. But I would keep in mind the employees and not ask too much of them. And so if I did do that, I would make it flexible to where they could adjust off of that time. They would not be working more than that they would be expected. But we could be flexible, and I know as a working mother, it's hard sometimes. Sometimes you get off work, you have to pick up the child, and you may not have time to come out until 6 o'clock. And so I just want to give that opportunity to the best of my abilities if I can.
So I want to say really quick, that's a good reason why we're doing this, is to clarify a lot of things that people may not or may know or think they know in the community about how things are run. So I appreciate y'all answering that question. Okay. So really quick, we do have a little bit of time, so I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds to plead your case to the community, and we will start with Diane.
As most of you know, I'm not a good spokesperson, but I do appreciate the opportunity. I have done a lot of door-to-door in Russell County, and I met some really nice people. And to be a service to you all, I would count it an honor. and take my job very seriously. But my greatest command would be to serve my God. And I will take that more serious than anything. And I would desire your prayers because wisdom is something that we need to discern the right to do every day. And but I do appreciate everyone that comes out, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I would appreciate your vote if you feel like I'm the best person for the case. That's what I try to tell people. I say you look at all the candidates and you vote for who you feel will do the best job, and I will do my best to be able to.
He's so mean, ain't he? Sorry. He's been waiting to do that.
I've been anxious.
Okay, Jennifer?
Okay. I thank you all for coming, like Diane said, and giving us this opportunity. I just feel like with my 25 years' experience in the clerk's office as a deputy clerk, I performed the majority of the duties in the office, and the transition would be a smooth transition. I would always put the customers first. I'm very knowledgeable of the staff and how the office works, and I would just appreciate your vote.
Okay.
Thank you all for coming. I would be humbled to serve as a clerk if the county decides to elect me. I've my background in practicing law. I've been practicing law for 10 years, and I love helping people. But I've told a lot of people if I've met you at your door that I like helping people, but I don't like being against people. And so I feel like I could use my education and my skills and my background to help people file their legal documents and retrieve their legal documents and run the office. And I concur with Diane. I want to thank all the ladies that are running here with me. They're all wonderful people. And I think we've had a wonderful race. And I truly hope that you all will listen to everybody and decide who you think would be to best serve that role. Again, I would be humbled if you decide it's me, and I appreciate your vote in November or September 22nd.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to school board. You guys ready? Okay, so we're gonna start with qualifications. What makes you qualified to fulfill the duties of a school board member? And we'll start with Cynthia.
Well, I guess I'm a graduate of Honecker High School, and presently I serve on the Russell County School Board member at large. I'm a former member and vice chairman of the Russell County Board of Supervisors in the Cumberland Plateau. Currently, I'm member of the Russell County Farm Bureau, Russell County Cattlemen Association, the American Angus Association. I'm the county representative to the Southwest Virginia Community College. This will be my completing two-year second term as a county at-large member. And I've enjoyed my tenure trying to represent our students first and then taking care of our personnel.
Thank you. We'll move on to Kip.
Now, what was the question?
What makes you qualified to fulfill the duties of the school board member?
Well, I run my own business for 29 years, and the school system is a business, and but you have to put the kids first. And I love kids, and I've been a wrestling coach for 29 years, and I intend to keep doing that. And I'd like to bring God back into our schools because we are lacking that. And I've been on the school board for the last 4 years, and the first few years was tough because it was in the COVID time, and it was very hard on us, but we managed to get through it, and we worked good together as a school board, and I think that each one of us gives our all, and if you don't do it for the kids, you're doing it for the wrong reason.
Thank you. We'll move on to Wanda.
I probably am going to be the only one up here that says that I'm not originally from Russell County. I'm actually from Pennsylvania. I grew up in State College, where Penn State is at. Randy and I, my husband and I, have done a drug and alcohol ministry for the last 16 years. And we have seen and done a lot as far as dealing with parents and dealing with what happens with the children in the midst of all this, the drug abuse within the county. We have worked hard to bring, he's actually here tomorrow, we've got Mark Marrow here to bring into the schools, because what's most important to us, the kids in this county are the biggest assets. They're the greatest assets that we've got within this county. And I just want to work hard to show that every child matters. It doesn't matter where they're from, what their background is. Every child is important. Every child matters. No child is any different or any better than any child. And I just want to be able to bring that into the school system. I have worked for Holston Medical Group for 16 years. Just been real active in church activities. We've been part of motorcycle ministries where we've reached out to help, different agencies to raise money for different kids and things that go on. So I just want to come on and do what I can to help the students of this county to realize how important they are, that they are all fearfully and wonderfully made, and every one of them matters.
Thank you. Dustin?
Hello. Good evening. First, I do want to thank the Russell County Chamber of Commerce. I don't know of any other organization in Russell County that does more to unify and support our community than the Chamber. They have been a fantastic partner with the Russell County Prevention Coalition and hosting drug-free community events that lift up our students and our youth and make everyone feel much happier to live here in Russell County. So thank you to Angie and thank you to the Chamber for hosting this for us.
Oh, thank you.
So my name is Dustin Keith. I am a resident here in Lebanon. I've lived in Russell County my entire life. I was born down the street at the hospital. Community has always been something that's incredibly important to me. I currently work as a prevention specialist for substance abuse and suicide with our Community Services Board here in Russell County. We also serve Tazewell and Buchanan County. Substance misuse and mental health issues are one of the most pressing and systemic issues that we deal with on a daily basis in Southwest Virginia, and something that we've dealt with for much longer than the rest of the country because we were targeted with that. So I am privileged that every day I get to go to work, and I get to work in our communities and with our students and tell them about the real consequences of substances, how important their mental health is and how they can safeguard their mental health, and how valuable they are to our community. Students and our youth are our biggest asset, and we are losing them. We are losing youth. They are moving away to other parts of the state, other parts of the country. When Russell County is their home, Russell County is who made them who they are. So I want to help create a community where our young people can stay here and where young people can thrive here in Russell County, just as this community has done for me. In addition to working with the CSB,
Ooh, we don't have time.
I'll catch up.
Thank you, Dustin. Okay, Jennifer?
I can probably talk loud enough. Oops, sorry. All right, thank you for hosting this tonight. My name is Jennifer Chumbley. I am a wife and a mother of 4 children. I have some experience in that part, as putting 4 children through our Russell County schools. I have almost 20 years experience as a payroll human resource manager, customer service, on a small business. I feel like Dustin said a lot of it, and so did Wanda here, that the youth are our assets and we need youth back into our communities. I feel like a lot of times we get divided, especially on politics and things. I feel like I can bridge that gap. I enjoy speaking to people. I enjoy being part of this community, part of Russell County, and I would enjoy helping the community. Now, at 6 years, I was mayor for 6 years, as some of you know. During that time, some of my favorite things to do was budgets and work with
taking a small community and bringing it back to life, I guess you could say. Cleveland, we have our own challenges there with money issues, so I think that I can be very transparent with budgets, things like that. And as a small business owner, I feel like that has a lot of qualifications. As some of you guys had said, you know, drugs is an issue in our communities, and I think that we can find ways with mental health. We need a lot of that. We need a lot of mental health help in this area. And we can work together as a community, and I would like to help you guys do that. And I'd like to be there for the children and be a voice for them.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, I think I'm going to combine these two because they're around pay and staffing for Russell County School Central Office and teachers. So the concern of these two questions, and I think they're from the same person, was about the central office being the highest paid, or one of the highest paid in the state, and our teachers are not paid very well. And her other concern was staff in the central office that maybe was unnecessary. So if we could speak to all those topics in one question, under 2 minutes. And we will start with Dustin.
Thank you for that question. So to finish up very quickly, I also have coached the academic team at Lebanon High School for the past 8 years, which has been a great joy. We've won some district and some regional titles, but we're still chasing that state championship. I'm also a realtor here in town, and also serve as president of the Southwest Virginia Association of Realtors this year. Teacher pay is a critical issue. We know that our teachers earn their pay and then some. Our teachers are some of the hardest working people in Russell County, and they deserve more. And I don't blame that on the school board. The school board does not control their overall amount of revenue, of budget. They make the best with what they can that they are allocated, but overall, this is a much larger issue. And as school board members, that's not something that we could always, make a decision about, but what we can do is advocate. And we can use our voice to lobby and complain and make sure that Richmond knows that we deserve more for our teachers in Russell County. There was a bill in the General Assembly last year that would have created a minimum pay for teachers at the national average, which would have been over $50,000 for each teacher in Virginia. Virginia just had $1 billion surplus, and we could have used that to increase teacher pay in all parts of our Commonwealth. Student equity is important, and we deserve to give our students just as good of a quality of education here in Russell County than students in Loudoun County get. And we can afford to do that as a state. So the school board, and what I would do if elected, is be a vocal advocate for bills like that that would give us the resources that we need to pay our teachers what they deserve.
Thank you. We'll move on to Wanda. And if you guys need me to repeat any of that long question, just let me know.
You're okay. One thing that I have found out, as we all know, as I've talked to a lot of different people in the streets, at the doors, is the concern about the teachers' pay. I'm not sure whatever happened that we got to basically second to the bottom of the state. I think it's a sad state of affairs. But I do agree that one thing we need to do is we do need to look at central office. We need to look at that from the top to the bottom and find out what positions may not be needed. Maybe we're duplicating. Maybe we don't need all of that. The other thing is, I know that central office is important, but I don't think they are more important than the teachers are. The teachers are the ones that are down in the trenches every day with our kids. And they're the ones that are standing in the rooms with our kids, teaching our kids, giving the education that they need, instead of just sitting up in an office. So I agree, we need to take a look at all of that. I think, I hate to see that. I had one lady that told me that she just went as far as over to Bristol. She said between the salary and her insurance was paid for. She didn't have to pay for her insurance. That's huge. I mean, when you pay $750 a month just for your insurance, that's a lot of money out of a already small salary. So I think we just need to do whatever we can. We need to advocate for the teachers so that we keep them here. Our children in this county deserve to have the best education that they can have, that we can give them, and we need to fight for our children because that's what's most important.
Thank you. Jennifer?
I feel like that we definitely need to advocate for the teachers. There's different ways to look at this, and it's not just teacher pay. I mean, our teachers are underpaid, and there is ways we can all work together to find ways to find something to increase that pay. But it's not just that. I feel like it goes more into classroom supplies. You know, our teachers shouldn't be having to provide classroom supplies. That should be something that we should be able to provide for them. We talk about the central office again. Everybody wants to make as much as they can. I get that. When you retire, you want to make the most money that you can. That's probably something that I would have to look at individually to know more about and to see if there's any way to cut those. But my understanding is that most of the people that retire are not being replaced in the central office. I mean, I would be glad to look at that further and make any decisions in retrospect if that needs to be done. I definitely want to be an advocate for our children. I want to be an advocate for our teachers. I want to bridge any gaps that are out there that they can come and talk to us anytime or to me, and I would appreciate a vote on that.
Thank you. And we'll move to Kip.
Oh, okay. I'll pass it. Pass it.
I agree that our teachers are underpaid, and we're trying to look into different things, but everybody here knows that we don't have as many businesses as what is needed for the income. And so we are petitioning the federal and state to give us more money for the teachers because they are underpaid and they do work hard. And a lot of our teachers go above and beyond what they should do. And with good teachers, that's where your students come in. If you've got a good teacher, you don't want to lose them because then you don't get the best for your students like you need. And that is, our kids is the most important thing. And our teachers are great. And we do need to get their salaries up. And I've been working trying to get their insurance paid. And right now we just don't have it in the budget, but I'll keep working for that. And our central office, most people does not know, but I did not want an assistant superintendent because I didn't think we needed one. And we cut probably $380,000 plus on not filling those spots. And all the people in central office, they don't do just one job. They've got, everybody there's got 3 or 4 jobs that they do. And so it's not as cut and dry as people think, and that we just overpay them because we don't. I mean, they work hard for their money. And
Tom.
He's so mean, I'm so sorry. He's
I
brutal.
don't mean to.
Okay, Cynthia?
In partnership with the Russell County Board of Supervisors, the employees and the Russell County School Board, the employees have received raises totaling 20% over the 4-year tenure of this board. Over the 4-year period, employees have received $2,550 in bonuses. Of course, that was during the COVID time. Our central office, we have made cuts as folks have retired. We haven't replaced them. We have been, more jobs with the people that's there. They've tried to pick up and do, like Kip said, we've got them doing 3 and 4 different duties. Most counties have, for their vocational school, they have one CTE director. Our CTE director takes care of about 6 other jobs. So with the special ed, most counties have one special ed director. Our special ed director takes care of human resources, and you can go on and on. They are very hardworking folks. And all of our people, our teachers, our bus drivers, our cooks, our janitors, all of our people, the last few years, everything from the state is becoming more and more demanding. We need this, we need that. And all of our people, the office, the secretaries, our nurses, it is unreal at what they are required to keep up with. And you really have to go spend time with each of these people in the central office and all in our schools to realize what all of our people do. Our teachers are asked more and more each day to do more, to do more. And I'm sure many of them have to work after hours to prepare. Ooh, I don't have a speech.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're going to move on to parents' rights. I had lots of questions on this, so probably about 7 different people sent this question in, and it is, state your position on parents' rights in their children's education, and should parents know what's being taught in the schools? And we'll start with Jennifer. Or whoever's got a microphone.
Start with the microphone. Parents' rights. Of course parents have rights. I mean, as a parent myself, I definitely want to know what's going on in my children's lives, and I was always involved in that. So I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. I mean, I don't know, I know you've got several questions on that, but I think that should know, I think the parents should know the curriculum and what's being taught, and I think the parents absolutely have a right to know.
Thank you. Kip?
I believe the parents should be told and have a chance to sit down and talk with us about what is being taught, and if any concerns they have, you know, we will answer, and I think they should know, and they should have a voice, and they're welcome at any time to call me, and I put my number on my cards, and anybody that calls, I try to address it, and I encourage them to come to school board meetings and ask questions, and we'll be happy to answer them. And but they do deserve that right, and because they need to know what our kids is being taught, and if they want something changed, they just gotta speak up, and we will work with the individuals to try to make this happen. And so that's the way I feel about the parents being involved.
Thank you. Wanda?
Well, that's an absolute yes. I think every parent should know what is being taught in school. One of the things that I think is really sad, we've been attending the school board meetings for the last few years, might miss 1 or 2. It's really sad to me that there is really no parent, there really is not any participation at the meetings. There's not a lot of people that come. A lot of times, the only times that we see anybody is when somebody's being recognized. And I think it's so important that you come out and you find out what's going on. Things can get passed that you have no clue. You know, changes can be made if you don't, if you're not involved. So I think absolutely every parent should be involved, should ask questions, and know what's going on and what's being taught.
parents definitely need to be involved in all phases of their children's education. They need to know what they're studying. They need to know if they have issues at school, and there should definitely be complete communication with the school and the parent or the grandparent, who would be the custodian of that child. It is very important, and I would hope that if our administrators see issues with their students, that they would, engage with that parent, because the ultimate goal is for each student to have its best experience and get its best education in Russell County schools, because they have a world awaiting them of work or whatever they choose to do after graduation. They need a good education and a good background to get them there.
Thank you, and that's,
Yes, thank you. Parents absolutely have rights. And I want parents to exercise those rights as often as they can. Just like another candidate was saying, I've also been at school board meetings before where there's only been me and the reporter there, or me and the VEA advocate there. I started attending school board meetings when I was 13 and learned a lot from a really early age of how the school board operated. And it was frequently very disappointing to see how few parents would come out. So I want parents to exercise those rights as often as they can, to be involved at back to school bashes, at open houses, coming out and learning about what their child is learning, how they can help. Education is not only the teacher's responsibility. Education is not only the school's responsibility. We have a collective responsibility as parents, as members of our community. Even if you have no children, we can all help play a part in educating our kids so that they grow up to be vibrant, strong citizens in our community. Which is why I want to invite everyone. We've been having fentanyl awareness days in Tazewell and Buchanan counties this year. After the students come through our resource fairs and learn about the dangers and the risks of fentanyl, we offer naloxone training to students and parents so that they can respond quickly and save someone's life who's experiencing an opioid overdose. Very unfortunately, last week in Tazewell County, after we saw high school students and middle school students during the day, we invited parents to come back out from 3:30 to 5 and get trained. We had 0 parents come to receive training and to learn about fentanyl and a very real threat that's in our schools. So tomorrow and Thursday, in conjunction with Mark Muro coming, we are going to be hosting fentanyl awareness days in all 3 high schools with resource fairs and naloxone training for students and parents. And I really want to see parents come out after school from 3:30 to 5 at Honeacre tomorrow and Castlewood on Thursday to learn about fentanyl, to get trained with naloxone, and be involved in our community.
Tom.
Thank you.
right into the gun. So this isn't one of the questions, but it pertains to how you guys just answered this, so I'm going to ask it on behalf of the community. Even though I don't have children, I love everybody else's kids. How do you get families involved in education? Because you said nobody comes to the meetings, and I have found that happens in all parts of the community, whether it's the Board of Supervisors meeting or the Town Council meeting. People show up when it's something pertaining to them. And I do complain about that quite often, but how do you get parents to show up and be part of those decision-making that you all do? Anybody want to answer that? I'm leaving it open to you.
Well, like I said, I encourage all the parents, like I put my number on my cards and they can call me day or night. And every time they call me, I try to help them, but I encourage them to come to school board meetings. And they can actually call and request to come into closed session and talk to us as a group behind closed doors. And it is sad that we don't have more parents show up. And a lot of times they miss what we're voting on, and then they're upset about it. But if they would be at the meetings, they would know more about what was going on. And so I encourage all parents and just all the people in the community to come out and be at the school board meetings and show their concern. And just like I was telling the Christian Coalition yesterday, that they, they was asking about coming out, and I encouraged them to come to all the meetings, not just the ones where we're gonna be voting on something that's to everybody's knowledge. They need to come out and be a part of their kids' education. It's very important because education starts at home and the way you're raised. And so they need to come out and find out what is going on. And if they've got complaints, they can talk to us one-on-one, or they can come, and I encourage all parents and all people in the community to come to our meetings.
Anybody else want to go to the plan?
Well, I think a lot of the folks, probably like myself, I don't attend all of our board of supervisors meetings, but I sure do watch every one of them, and I appreciate, thanks to you guys, I appreciate everything they do, and I don't really go to their meetings, but I do watch all their meetings, and I think that a lot of people do watch the school board meetings. I think if you look down there where subscribed and how many have watched it, I think a lot of people do participate in that way at home at their own time, and do share those meetings. And you don't really, unless something that really affects them or their immediate family, they never let you know. But as a school board member, my phone is available, and I'm available 24/7, day or night, for any complaint or any issue. We've got good principals, we've got good personnel in our schools, and we're dependent as school board people for them to do their jobs. And a lot of the time, we never, as school board people, you never know exactly what's going on in each of the schools, but until something happens, they bring it on through the steps, through the administration, and then I guess it has to be a big issue before it really gets to the school board.
Thank you. Jennifer?
I got all kinds of ideas on this one. I mean, we don't have time for them
2
all,
minutes.
but we've got such innovative technology. There's all kinds of ways to keep parents involved, and I think we need to meet parents halfway and continue to, I've heard that Russell County can't have a PTA group. I don't know that that's true, but parent groups, making sure that we are available to the parents and to the community, not just parents. And even if that's just getting out and talking to people, I think we need to encourage and be more active in our communities and make sure that we're having more events, more ways to reach parents. Because, everybody works, everybody has their daily routine, and it is hard. I've been to school board meetings too, and there's not a lot of parents there, but a lot of people don't like to come out in that meeting setting. A lot of people like more of a community setting or like a town hall kind of setting to engage. So I think there's all kinds of options to engage with parents, and not in just that voting sense. And I know when we get into this, we talk about forums, and you can't have people together because then it's considered a public meeting. But I think there's definitely innovative ways that we can find to work on it, even if that's just getting parents involved. I know a lot of people do watch it at home, but if that's finding some type, we have so much technology now, we can find a way. That's what I'm trying to say.
I just agree. I think we have to have that open door policy. We can't, sometimes you find where it's really hard to get in touch with people and to get the answers that you want to have. I know when we were at a meeting the other night up at the town office, they started a program where if there's any incidents at the house, if anything happens and an officer goes, I know that they let the school know so that the school's aware of it. That way, I think we're opening a little bit of communication, that when that child walks through the door, if something's happened at home, we've got to be able to communicate and reach out to them.
But then we've got to have that door that they feel that they can come to us without any judgment. Because I think many times parents are afraid to reach out because they're afraid of how they'll be judged, maybe in how, maybe their lifestyle or anything like that. And I think we really need to do the best we can to not ever have any parent feel that they can't come to anybody on that school board and feel that they can talk to them and get a good feel of an answer for their child.
The only one left that hasn't spoken.
Well, I have an answer.
Okay.
So, Angie, this is something that we've talked about before. Anyone who is part of a group or hosts meetings in Russell County knows you host something and very few people come or less people come than what you expected or had wanted. It's very disappointing and it can be very discouraging. But it's important that we keep going. We keep hosting events. We keep having things because eventually someone's going to find out about it and it's going to be the best thing that they ever did. So if I was elected to the school board, I would work with our administrators and our teachers to provide opportunities for parents to get involved in a lot of different ways, be that before school, after school, on the weekends, finding a role. Everyone wants to help and be involved. We just have to find a place for them to be impactful. And I don't think anyone up here would say that there is not enough need to go around when it comes to helping our students. So something, very tangible. Our high schools and Lebanon Middle have been very fortunate to have the 21st Century After School program for several years now. It's an amazing program that provides remediation as well as activities and educational programming after school. They are constantly looking for speakers and for people from the community to get involved and to come and just interact with the students. So if you have a cool job, or if you own a business, or if you have a unique skill that you think a high schooler would be interested in, I want to encourage you to contact the high school closest to you or Lebanon Middle School and offer that to them. Tell them, I want to be involved with after school. I have this really cool thing and I think the students would really enjoy it, and they will put you on the schedule and then you'll never get off of it. So those are just some examples of how parents and even people in the community who don't have children of their own can get involved and help be a mentor to students right here in Russell County.
So before I ask the last question for you guys, I'm going to toot the chamber's horn for just a second. So I have been working with the superintendent of the schools to start a junior lead program, like how we do the lead program for adults, for leaders in the community. So we're working with them to get kids from each school in the county to do the junior lead program to get them more involved and more invested in their community. So hopefully that will give them some more insight to, how things work and maybe get them to stay here in the community after they finish college. So we're starting that soon. To your own. Okay, the last question I have for you guys, and then we'll do some final thoughts for you all, is, I guess you can answer this yes or no, because that's how the question was presented to me multiple times again. Do you support Governor Youngkin's model policy for transgender students? And we will start with Wanda.
Well, my belief is we need to follow what he has laid down. My personal belief, and that's what I have to go on, my personal belief is that children, when they're in school, should go to the restroom that they were born as. If they were born a girl, they go in the girls' restroom. If we could do something about maybe having single-use restrooms or something like that, that would make things better. But I know with my conviction, my belief, that's just what we have to do. We have to follow, we have to be very careful. I'm not trying to say that anybody should be treated any different, because they should. Like I said, every child is important, every child matters. But I just think he has set this down, and I think we can find a way to make this feasible for the schools, to make every child feel comfortable in whatever the situation is. But I think it's up to us to find a way to do that. But like I said, I have to stand, I know, with what I believe and where my faith is. And I think that if God made me a girl, I'm a girl. And that's, until if they make that choice, I can't answer for that choice. I don't have to answer for that choice. But I think we can make single-use restrooms where it would make it a little bit easier, and that might be the answer, so that nobody feels uncomfortable. That way every child feels that they're not, being maybe interceded on, that makes them uncomfortable. But I think we could do that. We should find a way. I think we should find a way to do that, to make that the way that it's handled.
We'll just go straight on the road. We're gonna do it.
All right, I think that, and this question comes up a lot, and I think that we need, I'm gonna go with a story on this. I know as my children, often I pick them up from school just to go use the bathroom. It's because they already feel like they don't have enough privacy at school. So I think that we need to find a way to have more privacy in the bathroom for all children, and that we need to support all children exactly the same. I fully believe that. And I think there is even maybe possibly grant funding that we could look at. And I'm gonna go with the European style bathroom here. Y'all just have to look that up. But, I think that would be a great solution, and there's ways that we can allow everyone to feel safe and comfortable.
Yep.
I agree with the governor's proposal. I think that a boy's a boy and a girl's a girl, and I will stand behind that. We had that come up, and we was told we had to pass a transgender law, and I said, no, we will not do it, and we didn't. And we do have some single-use bathrooms for the kids that don't want to go into different bathrooms, and but it's just not right, and I'll stand behind that, even if I lose the election because of it. I won't just back down, because I have strong beliefs in it, and God made a boy, He made a girl, and that's the way it is. And so yes, I believe in it 100%, and I will fight for it. And no matter what the cost to me is, I will fight to keep. And I don't want no bullying with the kids. I think all kids deserve the same learning experience, but there's still a line there that you are a boy or you are a girl, and that's the way God made us, and that's the way it is. And so I agree with the governor, and I will stand behind that 100%. I will fight for that as long as I'm on the board.
Thank you.
Personally, this model policy is for the discrimination prevention and the treatment of transgender students. That's what Governor Youngkin wrote. The policy, as it was replaced this current year over 2021, personally, I don't support. But I support the law, and I support the Constitution of Virginia. And what that means is that when the General Assembly passes a law, and when the office of the governor signs the law, it is the law of the land. So what I would do is follow the law. If the General Assembly decides that's what the law is, then that's what we have to do in Russell County. There are semantics, I think, with what the past school board did in regards to the model policy in 2021. We do have Ms. Patton, who is the attorney of record of the school board. I'm not an attorney. I'm not able to interpret the law and see if there's any conflicts. But but I am committed to following the law and supporting the Constitution. So I will follow the law and advocate for what I can and for what I believe outside of an official capacity elected. Thank you.
Thank you. Cynthia?
Okay, I have served as school board at large for 2 different superintendents. And neither superintendent has ever told, I've not missed a school board meeting of my entire terms. At no meeting has our superintendent ever told us that a student has had issues going to the restroom in our schools. We've got administrators. I want everybody to be comfortable being able to go to the bathroom in peace and in quiet. So if a student has an issue, they need to go to their administrator and say, for any reason, they can go to the bathroom and it may be dirty or whatever. That's one thing that each student needs to be able to go, is to go to the bathroom. And I think our principals and our administrators will make sure that the student can go to its restroom. And I'm totally supportive of our students being able to represent who they are. And our parents, we need to be involved in our day-to-day with our children. There's no place in Russell County schools for bullying. I think that is one of the worst things that I've ever heard of, and I'm sure it happens. But that is very sad that any student would be bullied on buses or at school for anything. And I would hope they would come to administrators and let them know. And I'm fully supportive of the law that Governor Youngkin has brought forth. As our board, we have always tried to accommodate every student in Russell County to meet their needs.
Okay, that's the last question, so I'll give you all each 30 seconds since we do have time to tell us why we need to vote for you. So we'll start with Cynthia. We'll just go down the road.
Okay, well, I've just, I've been on various boards, and I've operated the family farm, and I have worked in manufacturing. I've been customer service rep at the USDA. I'm a retired bus driver. I've worked at a pharmacy. I'm part of Russell County, part of our community. I want every aspect of our county to move forward. I think there's most potential. It's one of the most beautiful places in the world. Anyone that leaves here, it seems like they're always trying to come back. And I want our student.
As a mental health professional, as a coach, and as a business owner here in Russell County, I've learned the value of listening. Every person in Russell County deserves to be heard. Every person has a voice that should be heard. Listening is the only way that we can build coalitions that work together based on common interests and common ground so that we can raise all of us up together. So that's what I want to bring to the school board in a new perspective and help to benefit the students of Russell County who are our best and brightest asset in our future. Thank you.
Yep.
Again, with the transgender issue, I did make the motion that we didn't accept it, and I stand behind that. And I don't want bullying to go on, and I don't want no student to be treated any different. But like I said, I was a business owner for 29 years, and you have to love the kids to do this. I was a football coach for 11 years, and this will be my 29th year as a wrestling coach. I love the kids, and I'll do anything I can for them. And I don't want bullying, but I will stand my ground on the transgender issue.
Time.
Thank you. Jennifer?
My vision for the education in Russell County is one that balances academic excellence with community values. And I want to make sure that you guys know that I'm passionate about listening and being there for everyone and finding effective strategies that can enhance school safety, utilize our resources, strategically promote transparent policies and budgets with everyone. I think we should be dedicated together and lead education forward and help keep our students and our families right here in Russell County, because it is a beautiful place to live. And I just want to go back and say I also support the law. I missed that a second ago. And I would appreciate everybody's vote.
Thank you. Wanda?
I would just appreciate your vote. We have really tried to be advocates for the children in this county. Like I keep saying, they're just so important. They're the most important thing we have. We need to make sure that the education in our children flourish in this county. God gave us like they've said, God gave us a beautiful area to live and to raise our children. But He also gave us a responsibility, and I want to be able to use that responsibility, do the best I can to help our children to get the best education they can, feel safe while they're in schools, and to just be able to, when they leave, if they leave this area, know that they have the best education, they have the best experience within their time in school, because that time goes by so quickly. And I think we all look back and we see our education and we see our memories. Let's make it that all of our kids have a good experience and a good set of memories as they go into their adulthood.
Time.
Thank you. I want to thank you all for participating in this forum this evening. I know it's not always easy to get up in front of people when you're not used to it and to state your opinions and your beliefs and your thoughts, and we want to just really thank you guys for coming out and doing this. We're going to...
Just touching back on your teacher salaries. And Dr. Hooker passed this to us at our last meeting in Region 7, which would be 19 counties in the Region 7, from Bristol to Lee County, all the way up to Grayson, the Region 7. Russell County is 19th on the pay scale. So we're all the way at the bottom.
Thank you.
And what little raises that we do get, the other counties surrounding us, they're already adding to what they've already. Thank you.
So we're going to have a really quick 5-minute intermission to change out the panel before we get started, because we're short on time. And we are going to start with the Board of Supervisors. And I will remind everybody these questions are from the community and not from me. And if there's any incorrect data or whatever in here, feel free to correct it, because I do want the community to be informed with right answers and right information. Okay? All right. Okay. The first question is, with the exemption of government service, boards, and appointments, what jobs have you had that better prepare you to understand a budget and how to manage the county? And we'll start with Nathan.
Well, first, this thing on? All right. Well, first, I want to thank you all for hosting this event. It's really great to be able to get out and do this so that you all can make an educated and informed decision. I've got a lot of experience and background with dealing with lots of different people, lots of different kinds of people. And I take it all the way back to when I started my athletic career in high school, playing baseball, and I went on to play baseball in college. And when you go from team to team, you deal with all kinds of different people, but you have to come together and play as a team. You may not like your pitcher, you may not like your outfielder, whatever the case might be, but you've got to get along and you got to work together as a team. Carried that on into my professional life, and I've been in sales for, goodness, probably close to 20 years, and most of it in-home sales. So I go out to people's houses. I get to sit down across the kitchen table from them. I get to deal with them one-on-one. And you meet all kinds of different people from all different walks of life. And so I've been able to sit down and have conversations with people throughout my professional career, and it's been a really great building block and experience for me. With the company I work for now, Small Heating and Air Company, I'm a big part of the financial decisions and the suggestions that go into that business, and kind of act as a sounding board for our owner to help discuss things. You know, I deal with numbers all day long. That's what I do. So, you know, I can do a lot of math. I can make it happen. I can look at budgets and discern, well, 1 + 1 is equal to 2. And if it equals 3, then we've got a problem. And we need to dig into that budget. We need to dig a little deeper. And I think that's the major problem with our county, not just for the Board of Supervisors, but the school board and all the other associated boards. We need to make sure that we're digging into our budgets and making sure that they're right.
Okay, Orth?
Can you repeat that question? What we've done before, calling the board?
What's prepared you to do this job? Besides being on any government organization or board or anything like that, what is your skills?
Well, I have attended a lot of board meetings through the years. I'm also, my past experience, I worked for the Department of Correction, I worked for Home Beneficial Life, I worked for the General Electric in Salem, and then I've got a business of my own. I own 2 lighthouse self-storage facilities, and I've been in business, and I'm very active in church activities, meeting people, greeting people. When I was in the insurance business, I went from door to door, greeting people and trying to build business, selling additional insurance and all. So that's pretty well in a nutshell what I've done through the years.
Andrew?
I've bought timber for 10 years previously, and through that, you have to buy the timber from the landowner, then you have to contract it to be logged. And I was working for the sawmill, so the sawmill obviously has to make profit before I can make my salary. And through doing that, I learned that you've got a budget for how much you think the timber's worth, then you have to get it out. You have to employ men to do it as contractors. And that whole process involves a lot of numbers and a lot of variables, and the variables being people and what can go on during that process. I've also worked my own business, even as young as in high school. I worked mowing yards. I was a guy out here with a little lawnmower pulling it behind a pickup truck and mowing yards in town. I've worked running a farm with my father, and latest as a forester, I buy land and we cut the timber off of it. And all that has to be profitable or it's not worth doing. You'll go broke. And in business, and the county is a business, it takes taxpayer money and it funds the different services that we use in our county. We have X number of dollars and our public has X number of dollars to provide for taxes, and we have to make that go as far as we can get it to go to provide what's best for our community, our kids, our schools, and the services we need.
Thank you. Sarah?
My husband and I, we have owned a business for over 20 years now. We also do rental properties, so I have a very, very good knowledge of budgets, how to stay in budget with projects, how to basically, turn a nickel into a dime if need be. As you know, the economy, it has shifted every which way over the last 20 years. We've seen times of feast and famine, but we've made it through all of it. And you can't do that if you don't understand your numbers and understand how to work a budget. I'm also, work with the public, that sort of thing, so I feel pretty confident that I can get along with other boards, and even regionally, I think that's one thing that we need to look at. We all need to pool our resources together, and I think that that's something that I could help with.
Thank you. David?
Okay, one, I'd like to thank you all for hosting the event. I've been in business for myself for 33 years, married. I got 3 sons and 2 grandsons. God has truly blessed me. And through that, And through my business experience, when I first got elected to the Board of Supervisors, we actually had a $1.4 million deficit when we first took office, and it was a shock. And me and Mr. Brady, he was chair and I was vice chair, and we took on a lot of huge responsibilities. Meeting with all the constitutional officers, we met once a month with everybody to work with them on these budgetary issues and address some of the things that were so critical. We were able to get that under control and come out with a surplus now with a AAA bond rating in the county. And I feel really honored that we've been able to do that. We've not raised taxes. We've been able to keep taxes low. We did go through this issue with the NIDA, and we had to reverse that. I apologize if you got a bill ahead of time, but we had to fight that obstacle. I was a proponent of starting the regional IDA. I chaired that. And what that done, it brought Dickinson, Russell, Buchanan, and Tazewell County together to be able to invest and take our monies and invest together to get industry no matter where it locates, and everybody would get a return on that investment. I seen an opportunity there where we were running out of the coal tax credit monies, and we didn't have the resources that we actually needed to be competitive. So by bringing all these counties together, we were able to do the Jonah project now on the Russell County side, and it's a joint project between counties, and it's going to benefit us all. And I think that's what we're going to have to do as a board. We're going to have to put people on these boards that are qualified. There's been a lot of, these 6 years has been a really horrible situation because there's been a lot of people put on boards that was not qualified. And we're going to have to find these people that are qualified to sit on these boards.
Steve?
Okay. 1972, I graduated from VMI with BS in Civil Engineering, and immediately started work thereafter in various types of engineering and engineering-related jobs. 43 years worth of it, 43 years plus, not counting my time here on the Board of Supervisors. Became a registered professional engineer in 1976. Throughout all that career, budgets was involved. I mean, I've worked budgets on every conceivable type of engineering projects, from water and sewer to housing complexes, landfills, everything. So I feel very comfortable with, working with numbers. I'm a numbers guy. Over the last, going on 8 years now, scrutinized the county's budget. And I'll tell you, that first year, as David mentioned, it was, he and I were on the budget committee. And we met with every constitutional officer and sat down and spoke with them individually about what they needed and what they could cut in the budget to help us relieve that deficit. So, it's just a process you have to go through, but it's a matter of communication with people. There are some things we found that a couple of divisions had fairly fat buffer in their budgets. I remember in particular the school board that year gave us back $1.3 million, and yet they presented a budget to us that was $2 million more than what they had asked for the year before, which basically meant that it was going to be, they wanted $3.2 million more than what they actually spent in the previous year. So we were able to work through that large difference and get it back down to a level funding situation. So, yeah, budgets are my forte, I guess.
Thank you. Do you want me to call you Charles or Charlie?
Charlie.
Charlie it is. Let's go.
Thank you. I've spent a lifetime preparing for this. I've always looked at it like you can't spend more than you take in. And for the people that's living on a fixed income today, they know that more than anybody. But I'm a former coal miner. I know we could only spend an allotted amount of money for each thing. And at one time, I had a small business of a TV and a satellite TV repair. And at the end of the day, you've got to balance the books. You can't spend more than you take in.
Thank you. So I'm going to combine a couple of questions here that are about business in the county. The first question is, what resources can be tapped into to provide more industry and creating more jobs? And then the second part is about our small mom and pop businesses that kind of feel a little bit ignored by our local governments and sometimes by our local community, because people, want to go to Bristol on the weekends and they don't really shop here when they can go over there. So what can the Board of Supervisors do to bring jobs, industry, and create sustainable business in the small area as well? And we will start with Andrew.
I think as far as the mom and pop businesses, we need to go out and meet with these owners and see what their issues are, what they're facing. Is it foot traffic? Is it something else? And then once we know what each individual owner is facing, then we can develop a solution to whatever they're facing to help them get through what they're facing. And as far as bringing jobs to our community, we have ample resources here of empty buildings. We have agriculture, we have timber, we have our coal field region, and we need to exploit what we already have here to promote businesses to come for the resources that we already have around us. And if we can expand on, let's just say agriculture, for instance, there's a cow on every corner. How can we don't have anywhere in Russell County to sell a cow, we take them to Washington County to a stockyard. Why is that? We need to figure out how to promote what we have here and build off what we already have to bring jobs into our community.
Thank you. Tara.
I agree with Andrew on the promoting what we already have. We do have agriculture, we do have all these empty buildings. We're in a prime location for manufacturing, shipping, that sort of thing. We've got beautiful Route 19 that connects to 81 and connects to 77. There's no reason that we couldn't ship out. Also, I don't know if you all are aware, but they are working, I think it's Senator Pillion specifically is working on an inland port, which will bring things in. I think we need to work with that, see what we can do with our county and tap into that resource. As far as local business, if we provide, we don't provide jobs as government, we can only foster the environment, but if we can get our jobs up and our pay scales and that sort of thing, that will likely trickle down to these small business. But I agree with Andrew. Me as a small business owner, I have certain needs that obviously Food City or Walmart doesn't have. And my needs for my business will be different than needs for other businesses. So we really need to take care of the little, the mom and pops, as you said, because those, that's part of the heartbeat of our community.
Thank you. We'll go to Charlie next.
What was the question?
So the question is about what resources can be tapped into to bring more jobs and industry, and how the Board of Supervisors could help support and help make some of our small, local owned and mom and pop businesses more sustainable.
Well, I think we have to welcome all businesses, big or small. And we have to showcase Russell County to make it welcome, to say that this is the place to start your business, the place to come to live and work and raise your family. And make them welcome, This is the place.
Thank you. David?
A couple of things that I was very passionate about. One of the greatest assets we have in this region is Virginia Coalfield Economic Development Board. A lot of people don't know about it. They have provided a huge amount of money and resources to bring in industry, working with our IDAs and our local county representatives. A couple of things that I wanted to start, and I was very passionate about, and I started going door to door, like knocking on doors trying to find the money, was the Entrepreneur Project, which provides a $10,000 grant. As a small business owner, when I first got started, you go to the bank and you ask them for a loan, it's pretty tough. You got to have collateral and all that. And I told them, I said, we need to put faith and hope And I know Gene's here tonight representing Virginia Coalfield Economic Development Authority and Jonathan Dutcher. They have such an outstanding staff. But they will honestly tell you that this thing provided a lot of jobs. It put $10,000 grant. A lot of people say, well, that don't seem like a lot of money. But when you're putting faith and hope into a new startup business that can apply for this grant and they don't have to pay it back, it gives them the sense that somebody believes in them, and it gives them the startup. Another thing that I wanted to start and advocate is the RACE program, which helped with education. That is also a contributing factor that is taking tax dollars and just investing it back into your child and keeping our children here for 2 additional years, hoping that they will get this entrepreneurial spirit and then they will start a new business or get involved in an area of expertise that will help them to grow and to benefit.
Thank you. Orth?
Well, let me go back to where we started a while ago. I didn't sound educated. I've got a high school education. I graduated from Homeacre High School in 1966. I've got that experience. And when it comes down to meeting people, we have those 2 storage facilities. And we have, on the average, about 150 or 125 people that we deal with monthly. So we have that relationship with the general public, trying to get the money and trying to keep up with all the records that you got to keep up with, and having the storage facility and everything. And I've been on the board for 4 years. I first came on the board almost 4 years ago, COVID set in. We had 4 businesses at that time supposed to come to Russell County. All of them are pushed aside except the fish project up here next to college, Jonah project. And like David said, now most of the facilities will be in Howard County now. Most of us in Russell County will be getting more revenue from that. And we also, I'm promoting agriculture greatly because agriculture in Russell County, I've got to know here, has brought in $24 million according to the last SUDA census. So we want to promote agriculture, cattle, farming, anything pertaining to that, and we need a packing process plant that you can, a processing plant to be able to kill the cows, the hogs, or whatever, and process them. And then it's brought to my attention that these veterinarians, we don't have one, a large animal veterinarian in Russell County. So they'll have to go out of the county or have a veterinarian come in from another county to take care of their cattle. And so that's
time. Sorry. Okay. Nathan?
As mentioned before, I think, we've got great natural resources here. We do need to utilize those. Our agriculture has been the backbone of our community for years. I grew up on a farm. It's a century-old farm. We don't have it officially registered, but it's been in the family for generations. But farming is a major component of our community, and it's going to continue to be, and we need to support that. I talked to a cattleman the other day, and he said his biggest concern is what happens on the next generation. He said the barrier to entry into cattle farming is so great that if you don't inherit it, you can't get into it. We need to find ways to help these young people get involved in agriculture and farming, because it is the backbone of our community. Additionally, Tara and Andrew have made some really good points, and you'll find that a lot of times if you listen to us talk, we're on the same page. We've got a great united Republican Party ticket running right now, and I hope that you all go out and vote for us, because we'll present a united front. We can really get a lot done in Russell County, but the inland port's going to be a big component of this. We've got these empty buildings. I think that we are situationally in Russell County the hub of Southwest Virginia. We're the heart, as they say, the center. We've got 81 to our east. We've got 77 to our north. We've got access to the region, and we need to utilize that positioning to partner with other counties around us to help bring industry into our region, because regionally It's going to benefit all the counties in Southwest Virginia. Just like I work across county lines in Smith County, many of you probably work outside of Russell County. We can't fight between us as counties to land jobs. We've got to work together, and we can land jobs here.
Thank you. Steve?
Okay. Well, I'll follow up on what Nate started. Regionalism is the way to go. I mean, and I think what we have here, we have a proven working relationship with all our surrounding counties, Buchanan, Tazewell, Dickinson, and so, within the Cumberland Plateau District, I happen to be chairman of the Cumberland Plateau Planning District this year, and I know the people on that executive board that we can work within ourselves to do some of these regionalized projects. And regionalization is absolutely the way to go. We do have a lot of natural resources. Tourism is going to be, play a part of this. But truthfully, agriculture was the backbone of Russell County before we started seeing a lot of coal mining jobs. And agriculture will always be the backbone of Russell County. That's my opinion. Boris alluded to the meat processing facility. That first year, David and I went to Allegheny County and looked at ones they built. And they told us what not to do, and came back, and we met with probably 2 or 3 different individuals that were interested in putting the facility in, but we were yet to hit on that yet. People have told me that it takes as much as a year to get an appointment to have your cattle processed. So, what I'd like to see is something like a co-op operation where we could cut out a lot of the middleman profit and let the farmers keep that money. And I think that would open it up a lot for the smaller operators to maybe even sell their beef, to specialty markets. One thing we did, as Nate mentioned, that first year we were able to negotiate with the school board when we were negotiating that budget to place agricultural education back into all of the high schools. There was a program in Homeacre at that time, but there was nothing in Lebanon and nothing in Castlewood. So we got that done. We put small greenhouses at each one of the high schools and a major greenhouse at the technical school. And first year they had a good turnout and response. Second year the population, the enrollment doubled at Lebanon in agriculture.
Thank you, Steve. Okay. We're going to talk about budget and staffing now. I think I'm going to combine these two because they kind of play hand in hand. The first part is, would you support a reduction of county supervisors? And would you support an independent forensics audit of the finances for up to 8 years and a transparent release to the public? And we will start with David.
Yes and yes.
Thank you for being straight to the point. Steve?
As far as the reduction of the board, yeah, absolutely. I think it's something we should have already been looking at. I've already done some preliminary work on it. My guess is over a 10-year period, we could probably save over $800,000 by reducing the board from 7 down to 2. They would reduce 2 school board members. Yeah. As far as the forensic audit, I'm a little iffy on that one. I know what a forensic audit costs. You're talking, probably in excess of $100,000. Having looked at the budget for the last 8 years, I simply don't see anything in there that would, but, I go along, I'm one individual on board and the board rules.
Thank you. Charlie?
Well, I'm absolutely in favor of reducing the size of government. Over the 10-year period, I believe it's been estimated to save the county $800,000 to $1 million. And as far as county expenses, I believe in accountability. Account for every dollar spent, and well, it's just the right thing to do. If you spend money, show where it went. But as far as audit, I'm kind of with Steve on that, about the expense of it.
Thank you. Nathan?
I have advocated for the reduction of the board for a while now. I'm probably the only politician you'll ever meet that advocates to eliminate the job that he's running for. And so yes, that means that we would lose the supervisor at large seat in one of the districts, so we go from 6 districts to 5 districts to keep the odd number. I think it's an excellent cost saving. It's a permanent cost saving. It's not just a one-year thing. So this is something that will benefit Russell County. We have seen that Tazewell County has 5 supervisors, which is a much larger population with representation of about 8,000 people per supervisor. If we went to 5 supervisors, we would be around 5,300 people per supervisor. Still far better representation, and I believe that we can do better. As far as the forensic audit, I'm open to it. I think that we need to, I would like to sit down with Steve once I get on the board and go line by line through the entire budget. I think that's what's necessary. If it's something that I see that there's an issue with, I would encourage the board to do a forensic audit. But I would first look at it and assess it, and then if it's that bad, which I hope it's not, but I fear it is, we will take a forensic audit.
Thank you. Horace?
I don't think it's necessary to reduce the number of people on the board. It's not been the 6th district, it's only been, 8 years? And to me, it's a good thing, better representation of the citizens, by having more people. And as for this audit, it's already been audited, the board has audited the books every year. And what you're suspecting, I don't think you're going to find. To me, it would be a great expense to the county and taxpayers to do this auditing, and it'd be not really representing the citizens as well when you cut out 2 supervisors. I'm at large. I've been on the board for 4 years. I've experienced a lot of things that people are speculating right now that they do this, do that, do the other. When you want to represent the citizens, you've got to be willing to put the time in. I get a lot of phone calls that the district supervisors do not get. And I understand a lot of things that the citizens out there are concerned about because they bring it to me because I'm at large. I don't just represent one district, I represent all the citizens of Russell County. And I feel like I've done a good job. I want to continue serving the people. That's why I'm campaigning for another 4 years to serve the people. I do not show partiality. I do not show favoritism. I do not go along to get along. And that has been my policy. I represent the citizens, not just a select group that wants me to serve them rather than the citizens as a whole.
Thank you. Andrew?
Yes, I support reducing the board, and I have since 2020. I brought that to Steve, and I actually remember it was 4th of July. We were eating a hot dog out here at Delana Bodmer's office, and I brought that up. I was like, why does Tazewell County have 5 and we have 7? And that discussion started from there. So reducing the board's a long time coming. And as far as the audit goes, I've spoke to several people, and there is an opportunity to get grant money to fund an audit. Now, there has to be a probable cause. I went outside of that probable cause, and I found an accountant that if the board was willing to allow them to sit down with the board and go through this budget, they would be willing to go through the paperwork with the board. And if we did find probable cause, then we could apply for this grant to have a forensic audit done.
Thank you. Tara?
Yes, I do support a reduction in the board. I don't think that there's any correlation between more people on the board and better representation. I think if you get the right representatives on the board, I think representation will not be an issue. As far as forensic audit, I'm like Andrew. I think if we could find the grant money, it'd be a great thing. I am all about transparency. I think that we very much lack that in government in all facets, but in local government I do as well. I've been door knocking a lot. People have a lot of questions. They don't feel that things are very clear, and I think that a forensic audit might just clear things up, so, and make people feel better.
Thank you so much. We're gonna move on to county improvements now. There are areas in the county that are not served by public water. What will you do to see that everyone has access to it if they want or need it? And we'll start with Oris.
I know there's areas that's not got the water yet, but through grants and everything, we hope to expand that service to the people, public water.
Thank you. Andrew.
I actually talked to a gentleman probably a month ago, and he was saying that he'd been promised public water for 15 years. That's something, we don't need to be promising people something and then it drag on for that long. We need to look at grants, we need to look at what the PSA is doing currently, and all of us work together with different ideas and see what we can do to expand on our county water and get it moving. If we could do a half a mile a year expansion somewhere, that would be so big over the course of that 15 years this gentleman was telling me about. A half a mile a year would be 7.5 miles. That would get you down the road. So we need to look at doing that, look at these grants, and see how that we can get water to people that want it. And before we just start putting water places, we need to go to the citizens that live there now and do they even want water. Some people might not have any interest in hooking on to public water, so there would be no need to run it to that person. So look at the people we have, what we have with the PSA, look at these grants, and if we can move a half a mile a year, that's better than no miles.
Thank you. Tara.
I agree about the grants, and you know, in my district, we have a lot of people that complain to me about their water situation. You know, they currently have wells, they're really not good, the water's kind of gross, kind of stinks, that sort of thing. And, you know, there's really no excuse for that. I think we should probably talk to some of the other counties that have, you know, expanded their PSA a lot quicker than we have, and done it in probably more rural areas than even we have. You know, there's always places that you can glean knowledge from, but we need to do better by our citizens.
Thank you. Nathan?
So we definitely have to improve our county's infrastructure, and water is a major part of that, but so is cell phone service, wireless internet. All these things go together, but I'm not gonna write a blank check out there, okay? We've got to get jobs here first. We've got to expand our tax base so that we have the resources that we need to go out and make these things happen. And yes, both Andrew and Tara are right. You know, there are areas that are underserved or not served at all that we need to get water to, but there's also some areas we don't. So we don't just go in blindly and start laying down pipe. We need to make sure that we're putting in the right places and we're using the right services for the right people. So I'm all in favor of expanding infrastructure in our county, but we have to go about it the right way. We have to go about with some common sense, and we can't make promises that 15 years later we are not fulfilling. I won't do that. I won't make a promise that I can't keep. So if we're going to do it, let's do it right. Let's spend the money in the right places, but we've got to get more jobs here. That's the first thing, because we need more tax base if we're going to take on these projects, and we have to utilize our connections with the governor's office. Steve and David and myself sat down with Governor Youngkin when he was running, and Mr. Youngkin promised us he would be here for us, and I believe he will. When we go to him, we will take our concerns and he will help us. And what we'll do is we'll apply for every grant we can get, because the Virginia has benefited from the backs of Russell County and Southwest Virginia. It's time they pay a little bit of it back. Instead of that money going to DC and Richmond road projects, it needs to come to Southwest Virginia and put water and internet into our homes.
Thank you. David?
Well, one of the ideas I had, when all this federal broadband money came down the pipe, I'm talking about millions of dollars. In one check, it was like 35 million, and I'm talking about millions of dollars that came down to run broadband into a lot of rural areas, unserved and underserved communities. I had met in Richmond with the Secretary of Trade and Commerce about an ideal I had about utilizing some of that money for broadband, being able to dig the ditch and put it in the ground along with the water, and doing it as a cooperative agreement to do it. See what it is, they funded one pot with broadband, and we're out here trying to get the users to sign up. You gotta have a certain amount of users to sign up before we can even get a grant process to get the water into a certain area. So I had presented that, and they had really thought it was a great idea. Trying to get government on the same page is tough sometimes, but I still believe that we could utilize that opportunity going forward. We can work with the Cumberland Plateau, which Steve chairs that committee, and we've had these before about utilizing certain types of new technology. This fiber is not going to last forever, so they're going to have to upgrade, and they're going to have to add new and additional. And I think at that time, what we need to do is look how we can utilize some of this pot of money and go ahead and get the ditch dug and get the other resources put in. And I think that would be a very sound way to get those things done for the citizens of our county.
Thank you. Steve?
Okay. Water, there are a lot of areas that I'm sure we want water service. I've worked in water for the last 25 years, I guess, done a lot of projects, the majority of them being here in Russell County. But in order to get water, you have to go from an existing source. And the problem is, in our rural area, there's a lot of dead spaces, to get from point A to point B. And that is, dead spaces run the cost of it. I know that the PSA won't do a project unless the project can pay for itself. And that was the direction of the Board of Supervisors. You have to make these projects pay for themselves. So they're trying to secure as much grant money as they can to do these projects, but it's very rarely that you get all grant to do a project. So yeah, we need to look at that, and we need to try to help as much as we can. But user agreements is the first thing they have to do. They have to go out and get user agreements signed, and it's sometimes that's really tough to get people to put their name on the line, for water that's probably going to be anywhere from 12 to 2 years down the road, because the wheels of progress in government roll slow, I want to tell you. Above and beyond water, I think sewer is going to become a critical issue here in the near future. We're going to have sewer to attract a lot of this industry in. I think Hansonville is a prime area for sewer. That you've got 17,000 vehicles a day that go through there. It could be a great business and industrial area if we can just get sewer down there to serve them. We have water already. I think probably from a residential standpoint up in the Rosedale and Belfast area, there's going to be a need for sewer here one of these days too. And sewer, and water and sewer is a requirement for any kind of housing development that goes in. I'm going to tell you right now, we're in a critical crisis for housing in Russell County. There just aren't any houses available. And we've got some industry that's going to be cranking up here in the next 12 to 18 months. And they're going to need houses.
Thank you. Charlie?
Well, the grants is the number one way of financing these, but here's the thing about it too. We're going to have to get some industries into the county to get some money flowing. And in the last year, we've lost Northrop Grumman, Polycaps, and AT&T. And it seems like, here we go. Everything's leaving and nothing's coming in. So we're going to have to recruit some industries in here to get some money into the budget. You can't only do it with just the grants.
Thank you. Okay, still along the line of...
Andrew, may I use a little bit of my time I didn't use a while ago?
Well, we're really short on time. Can you wait till the next question and squeeze it in?
Okay, I'll try.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to continue with this question on improvements in the county. And it's kind of a twofold question. Are you in favor or support of private landfills? Why or why not? And if so, what restrictions are going to be placed to protect any leakage, water, any kind of accidents with the landfill? And we will start with David.
Okay. Well, I guess everybody already knows that there is a project in the works at the Moss 3 area. And this is a private industry. One thing I will tell you as a supervisor, I have always looked at everything, whatever industry it is or whatever they do or whatever they produce, to make sure that our citizens are protected. This won't be regulated by the Board of Supervisors. This is a private entity that will be regulated by the state and federal government. This has nothing to do, and no money will be involved or exchanged in any way from this board. One of the critical things I think that us as a board have looked at is to make sure that every citizen is protected, and every citizen that, there will not be any harmful matters. We got a landfill currently that we manage, that's still in existence, that we still handle our own leachate and stuff like that. So we do take these things very serious. I take it very serious, but there's not one industry that I would look at, that I wouldn't look into every aspect of that industry to see, to make sure it's going to be a huge benefit to our citizens and to everybody in this county.
Thank you. Steve?
Okay. The first year that David and I sat down and met, we were waiting for the first group to come in to talk to. I looked at the budget on solid waste, and I turned to David and I said, one of these days, we're going to have to start charging a fee for this. It's the third largest item on our budget, right behind the schools and right behind the sheriff's department. $2.5 million to get rid of solid waste. You just don't take it out and throw it in a hauler and cover it up. It's not as simple as that. A private landfill, I would never be in favor of a publicly owned landfill for the county. The liability is simply too great. Solid waste has become a really, really big business throughout the state, throughout the country. There are large companies out there that have the resources, monumental resources to plan and design and start these facilities. Our ordinance says that if you can do a private landfill in accordance with state and federal regulations, you can do it. The leverage that we have is to negotiate a host agreement, which is required. So in a host agreement, you can dictate certain things that you want done. For example, the type of waste that goes in. I would never be in favor of any kind of toxic waste or chemical waste or anything of that nature going into a landfill in Russell County. However, the stuff that I throw in my garbage can is the same stuff that David throws in his and most other people. General household waste, we have to get rid of that. And we're paying big dollars right now. Our budget increased over this last year by a couple $100,000 simply because the tipping fees went up. And they're going to continue to go up over the next few years. What we might be able to negotiate is a reduced fee for our waste to go in, and then perhaps even a royalty for garbage coming in.
Time. Thank you, Steve. Tara?
As far as that goes, I'm like Steve and David. With the way everything is currently set up, there's not a whole lot that you can do other than control what we as citizens get out of it. Now, personally, I don't like the idea of a landfill, but there are certain restrictions. I can't just say, oh no, you can't come in. That's just not how that works. But I do think that we could be smart about it and really put restrictions, like Steve said, no weird, like horrible environmental type stuff, household trash, that sort of thing, negotiate those fees. You do the best you can with what you're given.
Thank you. Nathan?
I think we've got to have a common sense approach. And Steve and David and Tara have all echoed my opinions as well. Some people want to sensationalize this and make it into another Bristol dump situation or whatever the case might be, and that's just not what it is. There's a lot to take in here. It's not a yes or no. It's not as black and white as some people would like to make it. There are things that allow them to come in and do that. And so we have to, like they said, leverage all that we can to make sure we're protecting and we're representing the best interests of Russell County citizens. That is the key, because you are the most important resource we have in this county. We have a lot of natural resources, but you're the most important natural resource we have, and our children are. And we have to make sure our county is protected for their future. I've got 5 kids getting ready to have another one. I know I'm crazy, but I want to see them live, raise their kids in Russell County. I want my grandkids to be here. This is a wonderful county, but we've got to protect it. And I'll do everything I can to make sure I do that. But I'm not going to just give a blanket answer on something that's not that simple.
Thank you. Horace?
Well, the board has not taken any position on this yet because there are some issues for the environment, and they're showing that, you know, it won't be harm to the general public and everything. So we have got a consultant and a specialist to advise us on the ins and outs and things that could come up and everything. So it seems like the general public has jumped out there and said, we're gonna have it. No, we haven't made that decision, and we would not want to make it anyway soon, I don't think, because that we have this consultant and a specialist advise us on the ins and outs of what could happen, what may not happen. So right now, the board is not taking any position on that.
Thank you. Charlie?
Well, I personally would support a landfill as long as it's a private enterprise or privately funded, but certainly not the government getting into it. But even with the private enterprise being regulated by the DEQ, the EPA, make them be bonded from here to Timbuktu. You know, trash is a dirty thing, but it's got to go somewhere. And so I think we need to look out for this, to take care of our own.
Thank you. Andrew?
I think it's an opportunity, so I would be in support of it as long as, you know, all the state and federal regulations that they would have to go through to even get a landfill. The bond would be important to me because I live here, I'm 40 years old, I'm not gonna be here forever. My son's 7. So what happens 75, 100 years from now is the county end up with a private landfill that something happens to, or they gonna have to foot the bill on that. So that bond and understanding that would be important for me as to making a decision on that. But I support any private industry coming in. If they own the land and they'll abide by state and federal law, come to Russell County, we'll try to work with you and understand what you're going to do. But I'm not in the trash business, but as long as they are abiding by state and federal regulations, I will support it.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna move on to a kind of crazy part. You know, we had a lot of questions. So I tried to pull out some that would be what I'm calling the rapid fire questions, and you get one word answer. So no expounding on it, no explanation, and we're gonna go straight down the line every time to make it easy. So, sorry Nathan, you're gonna get with it every time. So it's, most of these I think are yes or no, if you're in support of it. We're gonna go down the road. County noise ordinance.
No.
Noise.
Yes.
No.
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 Abortion.
No.
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 Mask mandates.
Absolutely not.
Mandate.
Mask mandates. Remember, these are all sent in by the community.
No.
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 Vaccine mandates.
Absolutely not.
No.
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 Church closure mandates.
No mandates. Make it easy, you can just cut and chase. None. No mandates.
I think that's the last mandate.
I said no.
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 No. Absolutely not.
Okay, bi-weekly county employee pay.
Possibly.
That works.
County pay.
I'd consider it.
Yes.
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 Yeah, I'd be willing to look at
Okay, this is kind of a long one, but it's still a one-word answer, yes or no. would you commit to not hiring or appointing close family members, such as spouses, children, siblings, in-laws, etc., to oversight boards?
I would not appoint any family member to any board.
I would not.
I wouldn't appoint any family members either.
I wouldn't appoint family members.
No, I would not.
No, would not.
No,
Thank you. Do we have time for 30 seconds? I mean, we're probably gonna go over a few minutes. Do you mind if I give them 30 seconds to do like everybody else? Okay. Start with Nathan, 30 seconds, sell yourself.
Well, I want to make sure that you all understand I'm a Christian, conservative Republican, and I stand firmly on that. A lot of people want to paint me as mean or tough, but I stand firm on what I believe. And if you want a supervisor that's going to stand firm on what they believe and their values and their principles, elect me. I will be there for you. I can communicate with anyone as long as we're having constructive conversations. I will not tolerate things that are not constructive. But if you want to work together and you want to make this county better, vote for me. I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
30 seconds, Horace.
Well, I'm a born-again Christian. I give my heart to the Lord about 61 years ago. I'm very active in church. I don't just in and out, but I'm very much in attendance. I'm also a treasurer of the church in which I attend and elder, and I do not appoint my relatives to any board. I've been accused of that, but I have not and will not. So I will serve the people to the best of my knowledge and ability, do as I've done in the past. In fact, I want to do even more in the coming days.
Andrew.
I appreciate everybody coming out tonight, and the people that's going to watch this, and I want to bring a fiscal conservative voice to the board, along with a conservative Christian voice, and I want to be a voice for the majority. I think the majority of people in this county just get up and go to work, they mind their own business, and they raise their youngins, and I think those people then feel left out in our community, and we need to look after everybody. But most of all, we need to look out for the majority. The majority of people get up, go to work, take care of themselves, and we need to look out for those people.
Time. Thank you. Tara.
I want to make sure that we have transparency in our government. I have also 2 little boys. I want to make sure that if they would like to stay here when they grow up, they can. I want to see us grow as far as jobs, our infrastructure, that sort of thing. I think that in Russell County, we can do better. I really do. And I'd love your vote in November. Thanks.
Thank you. David.
I would like to say I appreciate everybody coming out and everybody watching online. I appreciate your vote. I know I don't have any competition, but I still work as hard as if I did. Because I love this area, I love our community. I am a Christian conservative Republican. I believe strongly in God and my faith. I want everybody to know in this room that we do have a delegation of Republican candidates that are running that have the like mindset, and we are ready to move this county forward.
Thank you. Steve?
Well, honestly, we're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing it for our children and grandchildren. I'm too old. I'm like Andrew. I'm not going to be here, and I'm a lot older than Andrew, so I'm not going to be here that long anyway. I want to make sure that what we do, my ultimate goal, is to make any decision that we make is based on fact, figure, and it's done in the best interest of Russell County. That's the bottom line. I appreciate all you guys being here tonight to listen to what we had to say. Sorry I didn't get to talk longer. I had a lot to say.
That's Dustin's or Justin's fault. Sorry. It's his fault.
Thank you, Justin.
Charlie.
well, I've lived here in Russell County all my life, and I would like to leave it better than I found it. For the generations to come, they deserve the best that we can give them.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. We don't have time. We're way past. Okay, we're going to move on to the sheriff.
Can we be exited?
I mean, if you want to. So we're going to move on to the sheriff candidates. Law enforcement officer, what ranks you've held, what credentials you carry, if you're certified, and any experience that you've had with working with an active shooter situation. And we'll start with, who's there right now? Bill.
Okay, I started in 1989. Let me back up. I'd like to thank the Chamber for this opportunity and everyone's here. But I started in 1989 under Trick Fields Administration. A certified law enforcement officer. I worked the road up until about 1994. I then got promoted into doing drug work here in the community. We formed a drug task force with the state police. I was sworn in with them. Worked drugs here for 14 years and also got sworn in with the DEA and worked out of the Bristol Post of Duty. Served as a ranger.
Can't hear you. Hang on, he's fixing it.
33 years of law enforcement experience brings a lot to the table. I've served as a road deputy to a lieutenant, to investigations, served as chief deputy under Steve Dow's administration, and since he retired, I've been sheriff since July the 1st. I've got a great vision of where we need to go. My certifications as far as active shooter, I'm an active shooter instructor in 3 different levels. I teach at the academy, I teach classes at churches and different things for security parts. I'm a firearms instructor, I'm a general instructor, and I'm a defensive tactics instructor. I'm not just a police officer here, I'm married to this job. I've been married to this job for 33 years. I love this community. I've dedicated my entire life to it. And I'm here to serve as sheriff here and make this a better community.
Thank you. Tony?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone that's come tonight and watching at home. I also want to say a big thank you to the former sheriff who's elected to this county, Steve Dye, for his years of service. And Mr. Watson for agreeing to come to this tonight. I appreciate that. Myself, my background, I've served in law enforcement for 16.33 years, since we need to be exact. And also, I've had a private security company that was all governed under the Department of Criminal Justice, so it all falls under the same certifications with private investigations, executive protection specialist, short-term bodyguard. I've served as ranks with sergeant, lieutenant, captain, a narcotics officer. I've also worked for the Department of Corrections, worked every post at Red Onion State Prison. I currently serve in Dickinson County as a full-time road deputy. And as far as my goals for this county is, I moved here with my lovely family. I want to raise my daughter in the most constitutionally secured county in this entire state. And my vision for this county is to have a dedicated SRO in every single school, have full coverage throughout the entire county, to where that no one feels like that they're left out. Because I've been across this county and there's a lot of people hurting that's probably not here tonight. But we need to make sure that all their voices is heard as well.
Thank you. So in preparing to ask these questions, there were some things that I wasn't too sure about, and I don't ever want to go into a situation and ask a dumb question. So I did reach out to a couple of experts, and I asked about resource officers, more so of how they're funded. And this is my understanding, if I'm wrong, y'all correct me, but resource officers are funded through state grants, and I was told that it's a matching grant, and so whatever that covers, the county pays for half, and the matching grant covers the other half, and if we need more, then the county's responsible for that. Is that correct?
There's a little more to that.
So that's what my understanding of it was. So, and I'm sure everybody else is like me, they have no idea how stuff gets paid for. So we're going to jump right into staffing and budget. And one of them is, how would you fund new positions not covered by state comp boards, and address the school resource officer situation and how that gets taken care of? And we'll start with Johnny.
Okay. I appreciate that question. So the way that the SROs are funded is either a full-time county employee or a comp position, or you apply for a grant through Virginia, which Governor Youngkin and previous Governor Ralph Northam has awarded for those that apply for it. With the grants, it's a little bit more stipulations as far as the county sheriff just hiring someone off the streets. With the grant-funded position, they have to have a minimum 2 years road experience, but they still have to attend the SRO school over at the academy. Now, if a sheriff hires someone through a county position or a comp position, then he can put that person in that role, but they still have to attend the one-week program. So first we have to apply and make sure that we have them in every single school. Other counties have been doing this for years. In Wise County, they have several at all the schools. Dickinson County has 6, for one school that's in one building, on one location. So we have to apply, we have to take the initiative, we have to look forward. But the issue doesn't just stop with school security. We need to also be looking at SSOs, which is school security officers. A whole different situation. You can fund also through the grants. I've talked to several that's on the school board, that's running for school board. The situation that we have is not just at schools, because once you eliminate one threat, you have a potential for another threat. That's why vision matters, and we need to have results. And that vision includes active shooter training for the schools, and that be consistent. And then also with our buses, do we have a dedicated system where they can key up on a mic and get a hold of dispatch in case something happens? Or like this year, there's a young lady that her kid had got forgotten or whatever, and she went to look for him. It'd just be much easier in today's time to be able to key up a mic and get a hold of dispatch. So there's a lot of avenues we need to cover, and we have to mitigate those risks and look forward.
Okay, the way the school resource thing works is it's either a county-funded position or it's a state-funded position. And yes, if you fall under the grant, it has to have a minimum of 2 years law enforcement experience, certified law enforcement officer, and then you have to go to SRO school. The county-funded position allows the sheriff to hire someone that doesn't have to have 2 years experience. The way the grant works is the grant pays the salary and the benefit packet, which equals out to about $74,900 a year is what they give. The county match that they have to pay into this to get that position is 23.25%, which equals out to about $17,000 that has to come from the county board of supervisors. Also, there is a car involved, there's weaponry, there's bar light, there's radios, so it's estimated at $85,000 more per officer that it costs the taxpayers. Okay, so I'm in agreement with everything as far as the school resource officers and having more. However, we have to live within the budget. I would love to have 2 to 3 officers in each school. And if I can find that way of getting that through grants and other things, I certainly want to do that. But right now, that 23.25% match with the school board and the board of supervisors is hard to do. The school buses, they do have radios. They can talk to dispatch. They can talk to the school bus garage. They can talk to anybody that's on that frequency. So if they do have that issue that goes on the bus, they can talk directly to us and talk us into what's going on and get somebody there quickly. School safety is my #1 priority, making sure our schools are safe, but not just our schools, but, we have different schools out here.
Time.
Okay. Keeping with staffing, part of this didn't get answered because we're really wanting to know about the resource officers. But how would you fund new positions not covered? And what changes would you make to encourage good officers to stay in Russell County? We'll start with Bill.
Okay. One thing that you're allowed is through the comp board and how much money they give you, and then the county funded positions on how much. Across the nation, law enforcement numbers have gone down because of salaries. We are losing police officers based on salary. The starting salary right now is between 41 and 44. It's according to what position you take. If it's a grant funded position, you go up to 44. If you're starting on the road, it's like 41.3. It's kind of hard to make it in this world right now on that type of salary, based on putting your life on the line, completing a 19-week academy, and going through everything that you have to go through and short staffed. It is a very tough job. My job as sheriff is to find ways to keep those officers, find even more officers, and find the money and help these officers get to where they need to be, what they deserve to be paid. And working with the County Board of Supervisors, with the state, lobbying for money, pushing for those type of things, so we get true professional people. That's what I'm looking for in my officers. I want a highly trained, professional officer that everyone in this community is proud of and that, you know, respects. It's hard to do with the pay scale the way it is. But that's something that I'm faced with. And as sheriff, I'm going to try to get my people more money and try to put more people on the road.
Thank you so much. Jamie.
Thank you for that question. So yes, money is an issue, but also leadership. Law enforcement has been under attack for the last several years. With qualified immunity, there were almost a mass exodus out of law enforcement. Made a lot of people want to turn in the resignation letters because they could be personally sued, held liable. A lot of different issues that came from Richmond and from DC. So there's more issues than just what the starting pay is, because anyone that takes a job, they already know what that starting pay and the benefit package is. So they know that up front. But at the end of that, they need to know that they're fully supported by their sheriff. They need to know that when Richmond or DC puts a bullseye on their back, that their sheriff will stand up for them and their community. So it all starts with that. We need to raise the standards with the sheriff's office. That's why I've been preaching accreditation, because you raise standards, it raises a lot of different issues, like with the hiring process. You know, we need a different hiring process, not just hiring someone, you know, off the street because they're your buddy, your cousin, or someone that you know. We need to raise the standards because it gets everybody an equal playing field that's fair in Russell County instead of the good old boy system.
Thank you. Okay. The next question is, what measures can or will you take to protect and secure houses of worship? We'll start with Jamie.
Okay. Some churches, they feel differently about security of churches and things. They have security in the churches, some absolutely refuse. As sheriff of this county, I will work with those the churches that wants to have security or have a basic training, and then possibly what I want to do is implement, and I will do as sheriff of this county, is implement auxiliary program. And that's ran two separate ways also. We can get to that later. But as sheriff of this county, I want to take some of that liability off the church that has their own security and place that with us with someone that's trained. So we can do a lot more protecting our churches, and I will most certainly do that.
Thank you. Bill?
As an active shooter instructor through DCJS, I've taught active shooter classes in our churches. I put on numerous classes with them, and I will continue to do that. I attend Gracewood Church here in Lebanon. I attend both church services. I serve as the security detail on it. I will work tirelessly with them. Anytime any church wants the training, me and my staff will be there for them and to work with them. And like Joni said, you know, some churches, they're a little bit different than others of you know, how they want to do things. And that's where you have to find a happy medium, and you offer your skill set to what I know and what my people know, plus patrolling during the church services, having my people in those areas and opening it up for deputies, inviting them to different churches and having them go in and patrolling it and let people see them there. Being part of the community is pivotal. Being a very active participant in the community is where everything is.
Thank you so much. Okay. As you all know, if you've been to Bristol lately, you know that the homeless population has exploded in our region, and it has trickled into Russell County. I've experienced some at my store early in the morning, having them sleep on my picnic tables. And the question was, what can be done, or what programs do we have to help with that situation in our county? Bill?
You know, you gotta look at where these people come from, why they're here. A lot of things deal with mental health. A lot of the facilities, what we're having problems with in law enforcement is you have someone that's mentally ill that you will do an ECO on, and there's no bed space here. The only bed space is up around Petersburg or Tidewater area. And we would be transporting someone, and it falls in a jurisdiction. If it's in the town of Lebanon, it falls on their behalf. If it's in the county, it falls on behalf of the sheriff. So what you find is no bed space here. And we're transporting them way up the country. But as we're transporting them up the country, we're passing Tidewater, Roanoke, and everybody coming down here and filling their facilities with their people. And these people, when they get out, they have nowhere to go. They have no way of getting anywhere. So there are churches that help get people. We have given people rides. We have donated money, you know, helping these people get to their destination. But most of that comes from that issue. It's not that people's homeless are moving here just to move here. There's a reason why they're here. And, you know, working with them to help them is something that falls on our behalf, and we're certainly committed to helping them. And if they commit a crime or scaring people, we try to get them out of that community and put them in homeless shelters and working with emergency management till we can get them to where they need to go.
Thank you so much. Jamie?
That's a good question, because we've seen a lot of the homeless issues in several counties, not just in Bristol, but surrounding areas, right here at Easterly Park. I think that it really sounds great to talk about helping, and we do, but we need to find out why they're here and why are they sleeping at the park? Why are they sleeping where they're at? You know, like, you know, Bill had mentioned about committing a crime. As sheriff of this county, if they've committed a crime, we're going to put them in jail. If they're high on heroin and they're laying out looking like they're homeless, they're going to go to jail. So we need to find out why as law enforcement. And then if they truly are homeless for some reason, then that's when we need to work within the community. That's why it takes a good board of supervisors and everyone working in this county together.
Thank you. You touched on drug issues in the last question. I think I can combine these two. With the drug problem in our area, we all know what's going on. And the other question is about confidential informants. How does that all work, and how do you all use confidential informants to help with the drug problem? How does that all work? And we'll start with Jamie.
Well, in my experience, there's a couple different ways with you working with informants. Someone could catch charges, is what they say, and then someone will ask them, would you like to work with us? So it turns into an informant. A lot of people call them snitches, different slang terms. Some of those could be paid depending. Myself, I believe that as far as an informant, we don't need to be taking someone that's got charges over their head and in some cases extorting them to cooperate with us to get them to commit more crimes, participate when we need to try to get them out of that environment. Now, a paid informant in the community is much different. A paid informant, someone knows exactly they're signing up for something, saying that I want to help the community, get paid, I know who's selling drugs, and they work from that angle. But that's not us holding charges over their head. So there's a couple different ways of doing that. A lot of times they'll come to us and they get arrested, and I'm sure Bill's experienced that too, say, hey, I know Joe Blow down the street, he's selling meth or whatever. So it's just all situational, but my thing is I'd like for us to do paid informants versus holding charges over someone's head and just keep them in that barrel consistently and potentially ruin their lives or their families when they should be getting out on their feet.
Thank you. Bill?
We deal with this every day. We're part of the Holston River Drug Task Force. And you're right, confidential informant goes out for numerous reasons. They could be an informant that walks up that's attempting to eliminate their competition. They could have caught a charge somewhere and looking for some leniency through the court system, which law enforcement doesn't have any control over, looking for some form of assistance on a lighter sentence. But these people, there's numerous reasons why they come back and forth to do this. It's all controlled through the money of the Virginia State Police. the budget for that is astronomical on how much money we are spending today out making drug buys that the county doesn't have. So we rely on the state police, and we set them up on confidential informant agreement forms. They pass that. They're given strict guidelines on what they can and can't do. They are in an extremely controlled environment through either ways of body wire recordings and officer surveillance, and to where you're constantly surveilling the whole entire drug deal. So you're not catching somebody that didn't commit a crime, but you're relying on their word. It all goes back to your control. I worked in this for 14 years. I was passionate about it. I give up a lot of my time, and a lot of it was after hours work to clean the community. It's something that is dire in our community with our drug problem. It does take confidential informants to get this work done, along with good law enforcement patrols and things to eradicate the drug problem. So, this is a very controlled environment when it comes to this, extremely controlled environment.
Time. You just was dying to do that again, I'm sorry.
I was watching.
I can just tell he's like itching to do that. Okay. The next question is there programs set up either through your offices or through the county for after crimes or after things happen for victims? And how would that work, if there is? Bill?
For victims or?
For the victims of crimes.
There's several different programs that go on through the court systems, not through the sheriff's office itself. When you have nonviolent offenders such as drug offenders, people that commit some thievery acts and things of that nature, it falls on behalf of the circuit court here in Russell County, in which Judge Moore and Judge Patton are tremendous judges to help promote this, to get these people the help. Drug addiction is a disease. It was a choice to begin with, but it became a disease. And to understand these people, you have to understand that this is a disease. They can't function without it. So the court system works great with them, with all these different programs to get them the help. And they give them an extra chance of life to prove themselves. Here, we're offering you this to better yourself, to get away from this. And the program is extremely effective. Working as a sheriff, along with our judicial system and other police agencies around, is pivotal for our drug offenders here. They're people too. And they get punished for what they do, but not for life. When you can turn that life around and make them a productive person in our community. Listen, some of the people that's, I would say, have my back is people I've arrested because of the way I treated them. They respect me. I never disrespected them. I did my job, did it effectively, but I still treat them as a human being with kindness and compassion. Same as the court system. Judge Patton and Judge Moore and our judges in General District Court, our community work program, it's tremendous to save money on our taxpayers.
Johnny?
I agree with the drug court program. That's a great proponent of everything that the sheriff's office does. It's done in surrounding counties, very, very effective. But I believe the question was in reference to victims. Victims, we have victim witness coordinators. We have folks that if someone's victim of a crime, then we help them, we stand by them. Regardless of what that means, we had a case recently where that I arrested someone that had a home invasion right in the middle of the day. He's outside, he's high on meth, he's going through vehicles, he busts down the door, screams some obscenities, flips over a dog, scares an old lady to death. So he gets charged. I'll arrest him, take him, I'll charge him with everything from what he did to animal cruelty. But that's not where that stops. We have children that was in the house. We have a mom, we have a grandmother that's in the house. So those are the victims of that crime. And what I didn't pass it on over to the Commonwealth Attorney or the victim witness coordinator. I also stayed with that person and met with those victims to talk to those kids, to talk to the parents and their grandmother. So there's more than just one victim. You know, I think that Bill was referencing a lot about the victims of drug abuse, and they are just choice. What I think of with the victim is breaking into the house, the homeowners are the victim of that. What those children saw at a very young age will traumatize them for the rest of their life. That's the folks that we need to also be a helping and looking out for.
Thank you.
That's a large question.
Yeah.
And very broad, and I respect them and talking about the victims themselves, and I agree with that part of that. You know, but all around that is a broad subject.
Thank you. Okay, speaking of broad topics, since we're not going over on time too bad, I'm going to give you guys 3 minutes instead of 2. I know that's going to freak you out. To answer this. I know, but I mean, it's a big thing. And there was a lot of different questions around this one topic, so I kind of put it all into one. So the topic is around gun policies, and in reference to red flag laws, open carry, personal ownership, the Second Amendment rights, unconstitutional laws. If you could just explain these so that we can understand them, because some of this stuff is a little bit complicated, and where you stand on them. And we'll start with you.
Okay.
In 3 minutes.
So, as far as the gun laws, I am a believer in the Second Amendment. I support the Second Amendment. I'm a gun owner myself. I'm a hunter, sport shooter, firearms instructor. I teach concealed weapons classes. I have no intent on taking anybody's weapons here unless someone has committed a crime that charges me to do my duty. With the red flag law, there's no such thing as that. That's kind of a slang term for an emergency substantial risk order, which is a civil order, not a law. That substantial risk order is designed to prevent a catastrophic event, which would be, i.e., a school shooting, someone going to Walmart, killing masses of people that are displaying some form of mental health issue or some kind of anger issues that law enforcement gets information on. It gives them an opportunity to obtain this substantial risk order, to go take the guns and have this person mentally evaluated and see what's going on with this person. Seizing their weapons on this is a civil order which they can petition back to the circuit court judge to get their weapons gave back to them. This just eliminates that risk process. As sheriff, and I had someone that made some kind of a post out here, which did happen here in the town of Lebanon, that a person fantasized about doing the same thing that occurred in Nashville. They fantasized about it. Immediately, we worked with the Commonwealth Attorney, Zach Stoops. We obtained a substantial risk order on this individual, got him evaluated, and got him the mental health treatment that they needed. The guns are still locked away right now, and to my knowledge have petitioned the circuit court to see if they can get their gun rights back. So that red flag law and that substantial risk order is one the same. It's just not a law, it's a order, a civil order. People are afraid of losing their gun rights based on that. They're scared to death of this. That applies only to a substantial risk. The other thing applies to protective orders. If two neighbors can't get along and one of them loves guns and shoots all the time and that person's afraid of it and there's some kind of little threat that went on between the two, that person has to get a protective order, not a substantial risk order. It's a far off a spectrum on each end of it.
Tom. Joni.
Okay, that's a very good question, and I can talk for a long time about the Second Amendment. I'm a great supporter of the Second Amendment. I actually believe in constitutional carry. I don't think that we should rent our constitutional rights. I think that we should punish evil people, not guns. As far as the order that my opponent has mentioned, that came about in 2020 by the liberal legislators in Richmond. So what were we doing before then to prevent mass shootings? Did this new law, this order come into effect in 2020? Now all of a sudden we're safe? No, it makes people feel good, but guess what? We had ECOs before that. We had TDOs, emergency custody order. We've had that longer than 2020. And if somebody poses a risk to themselves or others, we can also pick them up involuntarily, go have them evaluated, and if necessary, they have to turn in their firearms. The same process, except for that's a different process. We already had that in place, but this was liberal legislators of 2020, not something that we've been doing for years. And as far as the person down in Nashville that Bill had referenced, that person had no background or anything. Only red flag that day was when she showed up at the school, she made a phone call. That person called and reported it. That's called being active. You know how we prevent mass shootings in schools? We put a dedicated SRO in those schools. If we have 12 schools, we put 12 SROs in that school. Every other county's doing it. No excuse why we're not. How we prevent mass shootings? We patrol all of these parts of the county, not just the town of Lebanon. They have their police force, the sheriff. We will cooperate with them every way possible, but we will be out in the county. There's more ways to protect people than based on fear or unconstitutional red flag laws.
Thank you. So, I'm gonna do rapid fire questions for you guys because, we had a lot of questions and we're doing so good on time. But still, these are gonna be one-word answers. And I only have a few for you guys. And we'll just go, just like we did the other, don't even, okay. Do you have an interest in state certification? And I'm not really clear on that because I don't know what that
Could you
means.
repeat
It's for
that?
the department, is it Department of Accreditation?
So what now?
State certification? Is it a certification or
You're talking about
accreditation?
an accreditation.
Okay.
And what about the
Do
accreditation?
you have an interest in state accreditation?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Already working.
Okay. Auxiliary deputies.
Yes.
Yes.
This one is a specific, it's not a yes or no. Who will be your second person in charge?
Okay, so this person currently has a job and he has to provide for his family. And he has to provide for his kids, pay his bills. So I won't name that person, but the person is born and raised right here in Russell County, has more than 15 years of law enforcement experience with the sheriff's office. And I absolutely can't wait until I announce that, but out of respect for him, I won't.
Okay. Fair enough.
I'm not going to name my second person that I'm going to put in right now, but I would say that he will be the highest qualified person to serve underneath me in case something was to happen to me, that he could take the reins. If I was to be incapacitated, that person could serve. He'd be the highest qualified person for it.
Thank you. And I think that's it because we talked about mask mandates and vaccine mandates a while ago. Do y'all care to answer that? Do you support that?
We didn't answer. Which one? I support no mandates. Government needs to stay out of everybody's business unless they're breaking the law.
Those issues really don't pertain to the sheriff's office. I believe in living free, and I don't like to be walked on. I don't like to be told everything what to do, and I like to tell everybody else what to do. I believe in living as free as I can. I hate wearing a mask. I hate wearing a mask.
Well, you'll have to forgive me for asking those questions. I mean, all these questions, I will remind everybody one more time, they were sent in by the community, and a lot of them were multiple times. I literally had 8 pages of questions, lots of duplicate things, and if it was a whole lot of times, I feel like I needed to ask it out of respect for the community.
Absolutely.
But I feel like we touched on pretty much everything tonight that was sent in to me in one form or fashion, and I really appreciate you guys coming up here and doing this. Yeah, we'll give you all 30-second time too, but I just wanted to thank you all for being put on the spot and putting up with me and Tom guy over here and Being told to hush. So I'll give you guys 30 seconds to plead your case, and why we should vote for you. I'll start with Johnny.
Well, first I'd like to thank everybody again for this opportunity. As the elected sheriff of this county, I cannot wait to work with everyone, from the Board of Supervisors, the school board, any way that I can possibly work with them. Also with our state legislators, because that's where a lot of these mandates and questions that's come in, they come from. And regardless of what Richmond or DC says, I will represent all of the citizens of Russell County equally, impartially, because I don't swear my oath to anything other than the Constitution of Virginia and the United States. And as long as I do that, I keep that oath.
Sorry. Bill, I'm telling you, he's on it.
He's right on it.
Everybody needs a timekeeper. We'll read him out to you.
Okay, as a 33-year veteran of law enforcement and living here my entire life and being committed to this community, you know, I love this area. I love the people of it. There's not a road that I haven't been on. I know this county through and through. I know the people of this community. And most importantly, everybody out here is my boss. And the people work for me, I'm their boss. I take feedback from you. I try to help you. I want to make the community a better place. School's #1 safety, #1. Taking care of the drugs, too.
Sorry.
It's $20.
I'm telling you.
Let's check his wallet.
Thank you guys so much for coming out, and thank you all out in the public here and in our audience for sitting through 3 hours